This is the AHSAA Weekly, an inside look at everything happening with the Alabama High School Athletic Association. I'm John Holder. Coming up on this week's show, our Central Board Spotlight focuses on Jerome Woods. He is the principal at M.T. Blunt High School in Mobile County. We will also catch up with a high school boys basketball coach in the state who just won 1,000 games, yes, 1,000 wins for Coach Tommy Miller at Jacksonville Christian Academy. We will catch up with him a little bit later on. Also, Caleb Brooks joins us from the Alabama High School Athletic Association Radio Network, talking about the latest installment in their documentary series, Hometown Heroes, featuring the legendary baseball coach at Vestavia Hills High School, Sammy Dunn. We'll also have David Holtzford's highlights as we'll take you around the state for boys and girls basketball action and also boys and girls bowling. And also this week, we will have a Black History Month moment with a legendary Alabamian, the home run king, Hammerin' Hank Aaron. All of that and more on this week's edition of the AHSAA Weekly.
Home making you sick? Moisture and unsafe air from your crawl space can infiltrate your home, causing health hazards and high utility bills. Ox Foundation Solutions can remedy any mold or mildew problem in your home. It's time to get strong. How strong? Ox Strong. Get a free estimate from Ox Foundations.
Right now on this week's AHSAA Weekly, we begin the program this week with our Central Board Spotlight. We're going to feature this week the principal of M.T. Blunt High School in Mobile County. Here's Jerome Woods.
Jerome Woods grew up in Mobile as the son of a high school football coach, and he did everything he could to do something else. But for the last 22 years, first in Louisiana, where he played college football before returning to his hometown, he's been right where he's supposed to be.
My management style is hands-on. I like to be a part of everything. I like to get my hands involved with everything from academics to athletics within a school building. I think my kids really enjoy that. I'm at most of their athletic events, from basketball to football, obviously, but then I like to go to softball, soccer, and all of those events. Also in the school building, in the classes all day long, seeing as many teachers and students as possible, and trying to ensure that that academic process is going the right way, that there's a safe and orderly environment within the building, and that the building is conducive to learning. I think that's one of the best ways to do it, and that's the way I do it.
Woods has served as the principal at Blunt High in 8 Mile, just outside of Mobile, since 2009. He's also been a part of the AHSAA Central Board for the last 5 years.
My experience as an Alabama High School Athletic Association Central Board member has been amazing. I've learned so many things and been involved with so many scenarios that has been super impactful on my life. I think, being a board member of an association that has the opportunity to impact athletics throughout the state's huge. Having the opportunity to sit in on meetings that determine what's going to happen for young people, both male and female, and athletes in the states, a big deal. But understanding that we do it under the guise that the rules are made by our membership schools, that they make the rules, we enforce the rules, and making sure that we keep everything above board. And it's been a great experience.
And we are very pleased at this time to take you to Northeast Alabama, to the city of Jacksonville. We are going to speak now with one of the legendary coaches in all of high school sports in the state of Alabama, Coach Tommy Miller of Jacksonville Christian Academy. The Thunder coming off a big win last week over Valley Head, in which Coach Miller registered his 1,000th, that's right, 1,000 career wins coaching boys and girls basketball here in the state of Alabama. And we welcome Coach Miller in to the AHSAA Weekly. Coach, glad to have you with us this week.
Thank you, John. It's good to be here.
Coach, let's talk about you coached boys and girls basketball, obviously, for a lot of years. Tell us about how special this night was, though, playing at home against Valley Head. You got that 1,000 victories. Tell us about the night, the game, and how they honored you after the game.
Well, the game was a very tough game. We started out, we were behind at the end of the first quarter, so I really didn't think about it a whole lot at that time. We were struggling to try to win. But as the game went on and we won it, they were prepared, and they let balloons go and all that kind of stuff. I didn't know that was going to happen, but it was, I think, as time goes on, it's probably going to be more important than it was then, because we're still focused on the year and trying to get into the area and maybe move forward.
Coach Miller, for folks around the state of Alabama that are tuning in this week, Jacksonville Christian Academy, a very small Class 1A private school there in the city of Jacksonville in Calhoun County. Over the years, you've not only been the girls basketball coach, the boys basketball coach, the head football coach. In the past, you've been the head baseball coach. You are the principal of the school. You are also a pastor as well. I don't know, you and I have known each other for a long time. I don't know if there's anybody in the state of Alabama that does everything that you do and does everything with excellence.
Well, I don't know about the excellence part of it, but I do stay very busy. That's true. And I started out, of course, coaching girls basketball. I was a head football coach and coached varsity girls basketball. I did that for a few years, and assisted our boys coach, Coach Green, there to start with for about 10 years. And then I coached both boys and girls for a number of years. And now I only coach the boys basketball. My youngest daughter, Katie, came in and took over the girls program a few years ago. So for several years, I did coach both boys and girls, and with baseball, football, coach softball at times, even been the golf coach a few times. So, yeah, done quite a bit.
Coach, looking back over your long career, tell us how you got started in all this, from starting off as obviously where all coaches start as a quote-unquote rookie coach to now the football stadium at JCA has your name on it. Tell us about that journey and how you got started.
Well, I got started as an assistant coach at AHSAA High School, and went in there under head coach Jimmy Woods is one of his assistant football coaches, and we actually were the first team in school in Calhoun County to win the football state playoff. So I jumped into a good situation there, and it was a great year there. And so I went on and moved up into the north end of the county and coached 3 years in a small junior high school while they were building Pleasant Valley High School, and combined those junior highs. And so I spent a few years there coaching the football and girls basketball. Then I came to Jacksonville Christian Academy, and I've been here for 34 years now. And I coached girls and boys both until Katie come along and took over the girls program.
Coach, we mentioned excellence last year, really special year for you. The boys basketball team making it to the state finals, the Final Four at the Legacy Arena in Birmingham. Tell us about the specialness of that season, that experience, especially for a small school like JCA to go and play in that big arena in a setting like the state finals.
It was something for us. I had been there as a girls coach at Pleasant Valley a couple of times to the Final Four, but never had a boys team, and we'd not had a team at JCA to make it to the Final Four. And so that group of young men, none of them were just superstars. But they played together, and they knew exactly what each other was going to do all the time. A great group of young men. I mean, their character and everything was so good, and they just they kept working. We actually lost in the area finals to Spring Garden, and then it was a miracle run there. We went to Raglan and won. Then we came back and won a game against the all-time leading scorer in the state of Alabama. And then in the second game, my oldest grandson hit that shot on the buzzer that sent us to the Final Four. So it was just a miracle run there, and it was one of those things you never forget. One of those things the Lord lets you have a part of, and they don't come around a lot, but they sure are nice when they do.
Coach, we mentioned winning 1,000 games combined, boys and girls basketball, but that means you've coached over 1,500 just basketball games. I was talking with you and your wife the other day at a county basketball tournament. We were talking about how many games, when you take into account football and softball and baseball and golf and all these. How many athletic events do you estimate that probably you have coached over the 34 years?
You know, John, I don't know. I've been asked that question several times. As a matter of fact, Chris Randall over at White Plains asked me that question probably 12 or 15 years ago. And I don't know. I've coached a lot of junior high, and even here, before Coach Scott Morgan, my assistant coach, came on, I coached the junior high teams too here. So I have no idea. I've coached 3 and 4 sports all the years here, and I would like to go back sometime and just kind of get an idea of just how many games I have coached, but I really don't know. I don't even know how to start estimating that.
Coach, we know it's in the thousands, and we know beyond the games, we know that you have impacted not only the Jacksonville community and Jacksonville Christian Academy, but a lot of young men in your part of the country there in Calhoun County. You have made a great impact on so many young people, so many young men and so many young women. And we want to thank you from the AHSAA for 34 years of outstanding service to our young people here in the state of Alabama.
I appreciate that very much, John. And you know, there's a lot of people, you don't do that without a lot of help from a lot of places. And, you know, my family has been behind me all the way. You know, my wife keeps the stats for the basketball team. My daughters are involved in one way or the other. The people here within the school are very supportive. Coach Morgan's been with me for a long time. My staff here, my office staff, my teachers, all of them are so supportive of everything. And you just can't do this without all that help. And I don't think anybody does it by themselves. And the Lord's been good to me. He's shown me a lot of grace and a whole lot of mercy along the way too.
Amen. Coach, thank you so much. Congratulations on 1,000 wins. And thank you again for joining us here on the AHSAA Weekly.
Thank you, John. Appreciate that.
Tommy Miller, head coach of boys basketball. He's the football coach. He's the principal. He wears a lot of hats at Jacksonville Christian Academy. We'll be back with more of the AHSAA Weekly in just a moment.
Things a little bumpy in your driveway? Ox Foundation Solutions has the expertise and the know-how to repair cracks, wet basements and crawl spaces, and uneven floors in your home. Ox Foundation Solutions will come up with the right fix for you. It's time to get strong. How strong? Ox Strong. Get a free estimate from Ox Foundations.
This week's edition of the AHSAA Weekly continues now. We have a special treat for you this week. We are going to speak with Caleb Brooks from the Alabama High School Athletic Association Radio Network, the AHSAA Radio Network. They have produced a series of Hometown Heroes documentaries. And Caleb, we want to thank you for joining us this week on the AHSAA Weekly.
Yes, sir. Good to be here, and good to see you, John.
Always, Caleb. Caleb, we were just talking before we came on the air about the number of miles that you put in traveling around the state, producing a lot of great content for the AHSAA Radio Network, including this Hometown Heroes documentary series. And the latest installment in that series is about one of the true legends in high school coaching, regardless of sport. And of course, that is former legendary Vestavia Hills baseball coach, Sammy Dunn. And this is a very impactful and emotional documentary that you have coming up that folks are going to be able to see in the very near future. Tell us about first choosing Sammy Dunn as the subject.
Well, it was kind of an easy choice for us at this time of the year last year. We actually shot the documentary back in November of last year, and he had just gotten inducted into the American Baseball Coaches Association Hall of Fame. So we thought it was perfect timing. We knew that Coach Casey Dunn didn't have much going on due to the pandemic and everything with his program over at Sanford. So we got in contact with him. let him know the idea. He thought it was perfect. And we just kind of went from there. And, but with him being chosen as a Hall of Fame member with the American Baseball Coaches Association, it made the choice really easy for us seeing that story coming out and knowing it was probably pretty good timing to try to put something like this together for him.
Of course, Coach Dunn, his career and his life cut tragically short by cancer, passing away just a few years ago. And the thing about him is when you start talking about his name across the state of Alabama, beyond just baseball circles, tons of respect, especially from his former players that actually played for him. And I know you spoke with a lot of those guys. What do they say from the former players? What do they say about Coach Dunn?
They loved Coach Dunn. I didn't run into anybody, whether we were doing the documentary or just talking to people who, I would tell them, hey, we're shooting this documentary about, Coach Dunn, because I'd found out they were from Vestavia or something, and never heard anybody say anything bad about him. And, he was a harsh coach in a good way. He would get after the guys and, he brought the best out of them, but they all knew that he wanted the best for them and that he loved them. And, you got to hear stories about him personally going out of his way to help people. There's, one story at the very end of the documentary where one of the players' brothers actually had a tree fall on him in the woods. And he said he thought about Coach Dunn in that moment and what he had been through in high school, and said that, he knew he had been pushed before by somebody and been pushed to his brink, and that he had more in him to be able to survive out in the woods. And it's stories like that that we were able to hear from Coach Dunn, him visiting people in the hospital. One of them's sister, I think, got in a car accident, and he went and visited her. And this was 8 years after he had graduated school. Just stuff like that from him, where I think he truly showed his players, especially after they left school, that he really loved them and cared about them. And he always welcomed them back to the program and back to being around there. And I think that's what made them all feel so special and being a part of that and what they were able to accomplish there at Vestavia.
And at Vestavia, not only off the field, but on the field, a huge success as well. Not only one of the top baseball coaches, if not the top baseball coach in the history of this state, but really one of the top high school baseball coaches in this country's high school history.
Yeah, I mean, what they were able to accomplish there, winning 9 state championships in 10 years, and doing it at a time, Coach Anderson talks about it in the documentary, Coach Buddy Anderson, who, what a school there at Vestavia, real quick. I mean, Buddy Anderson there, he's the winningest football coach ever. And then you have Coach Dunn, who you just talked about, is the best baseball coach that the state's ever seen, and one of the best high school baseball coaches that this country's ever seen. And they were there at Vestavia at the same time, getting to be together and everything. And, he talked about just what he meant to that program and what it was like to get to be around him and to get to hear Coach Anderson, talk about that and talk about him and have kind of an admiration for Coach Dunn, and even getting to talk to him off camera about, the way he said that, we don't win those football state championships, during that same time period that they're winning baseball state championships without Coach Dunn being a part of that football program. So it just shows you what he meant to that school and how unique was it to have both of those individuals at the same spot at the same time who are, the best in their individual sport as head coaches.
As you talk with the players, one of Coach Dunn's quotes was, if you'll win the kids will win the game. And so he went about winning the kids. Kind of dive into that a little bit about maybe some stories you had about how he won the kids over. What was his tact there?
Well, I think it's what I was just telling you about, the way he made them understand that he cared about them. If you show the kids that you care about them, if you show the kids that you're interested in what's best for them, that you have their best interest in mind, and that you want them to succeed, and that you're going to do whatever it takes for them, I think that's how you win the kids over. And that's what he was able to do. And another thing was he just instilled a confidence in them. They talked about in the documentary, there'd be plenty of times they'd go in the 7th inning down a run or two, and he'd go, hey guys, we get one on, it's over, we're going to win this thing. And they would do it. And I think that that's part of it too. From a mental standpoint, he gave them an edge, and he won them over from a mental standpoint and giving them that confidence. And I think that's why they were able to do what they did in winning so many consecutive single elimination games the way that they did. We're never going to see anything like that in sports ever again.
Caleb, my understanding is we're going to have this documentary available, and it will be shown here on WOTM to the statewide audience. And just congratulations on putting together a great documentary. I'm looking forward to seeing that. I know as we've talked about putting these documentaries together for the AHSAA radio network. You had a great time traveling around the state, so we're looking forward to this one, and we're looking forward to more of the Hometown Heroes documentary series coming from the AHSAA radio network.
Yes, sir. We're excited about it. People can find it on our Facebook page. They can also check it out on YouTube. And this is our fourth one. So we've had three others in this series, with one being about the Clay Bowl, Clay County and Lineville, another one about Rod Scott, who obviously tragically died in an accident on the way to the finals a couple years ago. And then we did another one about the Bear Creek girls winning a state championship that we released back in the fall. So this is the fourth one. You can find all those on our social media page and on YouTube. And we're really excited about this and looking forward to continuing to do this and continuing to tell great stories throughout this whole entire state.
Caleb, thank you so much for the hard work. We will see you down the line. Always a pleasure. Thank you for all the hard work and the good story on Coach Sammy Dunn on the AHSAA radio network.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. Good to see you, John.
And here's how you can see the show coming up here on WOTM.
Vestavia Baseball was Dad's program. It wasn't someone else's that he took over, but it is a program that he built.
I mean, it didn't matter what he coached. He was successful. And the biggest thing, he won the kids over. The kids loved him.
He had a famous saying that I always remember: you win the kids and the kids will win the game.
Vestavia, it was just a machine.
And they won, except for one, they won every year in the 90s.
They won 2 state championships, lost 1 by 1 run, then won 7 in a row.
People don't think about that because they think it is like it is now, all 2 out of 3. It was not 2 out of 3.
The streak of the single elimination games is just overwhelming, and it's something that truly will never be done again.
When we came up to the high school, it was like playing for Bear Bryant to us in Vestavia.
I was able to turn my life around and got saved and sober. And if not for Sammy Dunn, it wouldn't have happened.
I drive by his sign every day, and I'm reminded of things he taught me. Second to my dad, no one shaped my life more than Coach Dunn did.
I would have done anything for the guy. People say, oh, you're a Vestavia guy. I was a Sammy Dunn guy. If he would have been coach for Russia, I'd have put on the uniform.
Uneven floors got you rolling? Ox Foundation Solutions has the expertise and the know-how to repair cracks, wet basements and crawl spaces, and uneven floors in your home. It's time to get strong. How strong? Ox Strong. Get a free estimate from Ox Foundations.
Time now, the AHSAA Weekly, to take our tour around the state of Alabama. Highlights of different sports being provided by David Holtzford of the Alabama High School Athletic Association. This is David Holtzford's highlights. We're going to begin with basketball, and we're going to take you to the hardwood with Cam Crawford and the Spain Park Jaguars taking on Gadsden City in Hoover. Crawford is shown hitting a three-pointer early and then making his presence felt inside with a strong finish for another bucket. His talents are many, however. We're going to see him streaking down the court for a towering dunk at the end of this fast break. Crawford finished the game with 38 points, 16 rebounds in the Jaguars Class 7A Area 7 87-62 win over the Gadsden City Titans down in Hoover. Next, we head to the Wiregrass down in southeast Alabama. University of Tennessee signee Caroline Striplin of Geneva County continues to add to her list of accomplishments. She came into the week with 9 straight free throws made, coming on the heels of a 22 free throw streak the week before. By the time she missed again, she was 12 of 12 in one win, 17 of 17 versus Slocum, made her first 6 in a 50-49 loss to Geneva before ending the new streak at 44 in a row to set the AHSAA girls record for consecutive free throws in a single season. 44 straight ranks 12th all-time in the nation, 2nd in Alabama. Stripling drives for this basket, showing her strength inside for a quick basket and running the floor for a layup, threading through 4 defenders, and she finished with 41 points overall in the 61-35 win over the Slocum Red Tops. Caroline Stripling of Geneva County. Now the Satsuma Lady Gators open the AHSAA 2021 State Bowling Championship at Pelham's Oak Mountain Lanes, winning 3 convincing matches to capture the first ever Class 1A through 5A girls title last week. The bowling competition divided into 2 divisions this year. The Gators, led by Chloe Rafata, Brianne McDonald, and Ashlyn Stewart, shown here taking on a strong Corner High School squad in the finals. Satsuma took control in the championship match, cruising to 1169 to 1,053 win to win the girls 1A through 5A state bowling title. And now we're going to pick up the action in the 1A through 5A boys competition with East Limestone, the Indians, taking on Beauregard. The Indians open with a strike by Austin Turner, which fired up the East Limestone squad. Justin Lewis follows with another strike on the way to a 221 traditional game total. And Bryant Story keeps it going with yet another strike for the Indians of East Limestone out of Capshaw in North Alabama. It was a team effort all the way as Aiden Thrasher gets another strike. Lewis and Ethan Keaton close out the championship match with strong rolls, and the Indians win the 1A through 5A boys championship with a 1502 point total over the Hornets. They rolled. Beauregard did 1,163. Great win there for the East Limestone Indians. The 6A, 7A Girls State Bowling Championship opened up the final day's action at Oak Mountain Lanes with Sparkman's Angela Weber nailing a strike, followed by a spare from Dalen Talgo. Thompson, however, would battle back with Gracie Connolly, who rolled a 298 in a practice round earlier this week. She led the Warriors with a pair of strikes early to finish with the top series of the state tourney for the 2nd year in a row. She finished with 628 total in her 3 traditional rounds. But Sparkman's balanced Senators lineup would get the win with a state finals total of 1,429 points. Thompson finished with 1,292. Congratulations once again to Sparkman, state champions, taking home the blue map. And on the boys' side, Sparkman and Hoover closed out the 6A, 7A state bowling championships with a battle to the end. Cole Arsenal, who had the top series in the 2018 and 19 boys competition, rolls a strike. Teammates Joseph Collier, Cole Arsenal, and Alfonso Carrington also had strong games in the traditional round as the Senators defeated Hoover by 29 pins, 1607 to 1578, to give Sparkman the sweep in the 6A, 7A boys and girls competition. Of course, you saw all of those matches right here on WOTM with Landrum Roberts and Marvin Cho doing an outstanding job calling the action from down in Pelham at the Oak Mountain Lanes. Well, this month is Black History Month, and we have a Black History moment for you as we want to recognize by honoring Alabama's own home run king, Hank Aaron. Hammerin' Hank attended Central High School here in Alabama in the late 1940s. He played 23 seasons in the majors, mostly with the Atlanta Braves. He set the career home run record, of course, with 755. Shown here hitting 715. I'll picture Al Downing to surpass the great Babe Ruth as baseball's all-time home run king at the time. Hank Aaron passed away last month at the age of 86. The Baseball Hall of Fame member's legacy will live on forever with baseball faithful. He will always be loved and remembered as the greatest home run hitter of all time, and he's from right here in the great state of Alabama. That's going to do it for this week's AHSAA Weekly. We'll see you right back here next week.